Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be replacing the spark plugs on this N20 engine. So these are the spark plugs we're going to be using. This is a part number. This is the BMW OEM part. As always, all the tools we use will be in the link down in the description. So the first thing you're going to want to do is remove the top engine cover. There's going to be 4 grommets on this cover. Actually 3 grommets, and you just pull away on the clips in the back. And then you're going to have this rubber sound insulator right here. Just go ahead and lift up and pull it back. There's nothing holding it in place. And then that'll expose all the coils underneath. So you can see this is number 1, number 2, and 3 and 4 in the back. Number 1 and 2 is pretty easy to get to. 3 and 4 is a little tricky. But if you remove the top covers, it's a lot easier to get to. So if you want to do that, you can just remove these 3 10mm plastic nuts on either side. And they remove like this. They're going to be a 1/4 turn both sides. Once you get them loosened up, you can pull the covers away. Once you got the covers removed, you're going to have these 10mm screws right here. Just go ahead and undo them, and then you're going to have this bar, which is a E18 socket. You're going to have 4 of these, 2 in the center and 1 on each side. And here's the E18 over here, and then you're going to have these other 10mm right under here. So you can remove this bar, these 10mm screws, remove that cover, and then you'll have easy access to get to cylinders 3 and 4. It becomes extremely easy, but I know it is possible to do it without it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how we do that without removing all these extra parts. So cylinders 1 and 2 is pretty easy. You just pull back on this cover and lift up the coil. Now this can be quite hard. They're filled with dust and dirt and they can get stuck, so some of them are hard. What you can do is get a little hook, something like this, to lift up on the clip, push it back, and then you can lift up on it with the hook. It makes it a lot easier to pull them out if you can't pull them out by hand. And now you have the spark plugs exposed. You just grab your 14mm spark plug socket, loosen them all up, and pull it out. So I wouldn't recommend to use power tools on this. Just loosen them up by hand and run them down all the way by hand as well. So once you got the new spark plugs inside, just turn them by hand all the way down, and you're going to want to torque them down to 23 Newton meters. Now I'm not using a torque wrench on these two just because I want to show you how much torque is actually needed. As you can see, it's not much. And you can do this without a torque wrench. It's pretty much just snug down. Now this is the back view of the coils for cylinders 3 and 4. It becomes really easy with the hook to undo the clips for the coils and to lift them up, because getting your hand in here is pretty tough. There's not much space. So with the hook you can grab it and pull it up. Makes it a lot easier. And just pull the connector out, and then you can pull the whole coil out. Now for cylinder 4, it's going to be even more difficult because it's further away, but with this hook, you can easily pop them off. Now again, I'm not one to like to struggle to remove certain things, so I would recommend that you guys just remove those extra parts up on top. Just a couple of 10mm, the E18 screws, and then you can access these so much easier. It's going to be just as easy as doing cylinders 1 and 2, but right here, as you can see, you guys kind of struggle. You have to put the extension ins one by one, and then the ratchet, you gotta just, it's a lot more time consuming, but it's really just if you don't want to take the time to remove those other parts. So we're just gonna do exactly what we did to cylinders 1 and 2 here. Go ahead and just loosen everything up, and then just put in the new plugs and torque these down to 23 Newton meters as well. So once you get the spark plug torqued down on cylinder 4, you're going to have to get a screwdriver flathead to loosen up the extension to the torque wrench, just like that. Like I said, you have very limited space. It's very difficult to get your hands in here. So using the flathead just to separate these extensions one by one in order to get them out, it makes it a lot easier. And in the coil, you just have to work its way in sideways. And then to put the connectors on, once again, like since you can't really see here, it makes it really difficult to see if you actually made this connection correctly. And if you don't have too much experience with these connectors, again, I'd recommend just remove the extra parts so you can make sure these connectors are put in properly. Cylinder 3, you can remove with an extension. I'm using an 8-inch here. And with that wobble that you saw, that's the only reason why you can do it from this angle right here. That little wobble gives you that little extra space that you need to be able to ratchet the spark plug away. And then you just put in the new one, torque that one down to 23 Newton meters as well. And you're all set. So now I just drop in the ignition coil, put in the connector, clip it down, and make sure you push down. Just like this. You'll feel it when it makes contact with the top of the spark plug. So now we're just going to put the coil packs back in for cylinders 1 and 2. I just want to give you a good visual on how the connector should look when you're putting the connector back in. So when it's connected properly, you'll see that this connector is pretty much no gap between the coil and the connector here. So if you have a gap, something like this, or it's not in all the way, it's not in properly, the clip won't even let you close it sometimes. So the way I do it is I just wiggle it in place. You'll see the clip kind of come down on its own, and you just finish it off, and it'll pull in the rest of the connector. You just put it back in. And now for the sound insulation. It's kind of tricky putting the sound insulation back in, just because, again, limited space. So if it's your first time doing this, just remove the extra stuff. And then once you get it fitted properly, then you can grab the top of the engine cover, fit in the 2 slots in the back first. Once you got those slots in, then you can put in the grommets. And that's pretty much it. You're all done. So look out for another video that we're going to be putting out on replacing the drive belt. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one.